she asked me to keep this real short. And I'm going to cut my announcement really short too. But I would announce that we're going to the IHOP afterwards, and we'll continue the conversation until early morning hours.
I'm kind of scared to have to do it later. So.
They can get up and leave anytime they want. So anyway, tonight, Law One Study Group is going to present the Kybalion. And it's a study of Hermetic philosophy of ancient Egypt and Greece. I'm going to cut it short. How many did I get? And let me just introduce our speaker. Our privilege tonight to have our speaker, Denise Wilbanks. She is got a long list here. She is a generative coach, a poet, an author, a healer, and a channeler. And her independent study and work focuses on the discovery of self. She combines schools of thought, including metaphysics, philosophy, psychology, and spirituality. And so please help me welcome Denise Wilbanks.
Thank you, everyone. Well, thanks for coming out on such a cold evening. And am I being a little too loud here? Is it?
No.
Okay. By the way, did everybody get a flyer for some people who just walked in? Did you have a? Okay. So it's a pleasure to speak to you about a topic that's very near and dear to my heart. I came in contact with the Kaibalian. I was introduced to it in 2009 when I happened to be kind of in the vicinity of a dear friend in Florida. And she said, oh, by the way, there's a meeting, why don't you come along? Lo and behold, I landed on a seat pretty much like you, and much smaller group, and the presenter was presenting it just in a little flip chart. And within 20 minutes I knew, wait a minute, this feels like second skin to me. This feels like I've known this law, this concepts all my life. Where is that knowledge coming from? The knowledge is so intrinsic to us. It's really embedded on a cellular level to every one of us. We just don't know it's there. Wow. Was that an affirmation? I think that's a yes. Anyway, because this is the Law of One study group, what I have done is combine the principles of the Kybalion, and we're going to see them side by side with what the Law of One is. Now, if I could get a quick show of hands, who is familiar or has read the material of the Law of One, or the raw material as it's also known? Okay, so I have some general understanding of what's at hand. So likewise, the Kaibalion, is everybody, or show of hands, how many are familiar with it? To some extent.
20 years ago when I read it, I was familiar with it.
Okay. By the way, the Kabbalah and the Kybalion are not the same. The Kybalion are principles, the Kabbalah is a religion. Okay?
What's the mystical aspect of Jesus?
Correct. So, in the beginning here, because we're a little tight on time, what I'm going to do is just briefly show you some slides, maybe even read them out. I'm not crazy about reading slides, but we're just kind of pointing out the general history about it. And then I'll spend some time in some of the principles that I think are kind of the meat and potato of the teachings. I also have, part of my intention is to do it in such a way that you can kind of really tangibly feel what this is all about. Not just, oh, this is, that's what it says. And so tomorrow when you go to work or when you leave and you meet your friends and whatever, what do they talk about? I don't know. So you have an understanding in your gut. Okay, I can kind of get it. And so that's what I'm going to be perhaps deviating a little bit about, just what it is technically, and trying to see if I can line some things up that would be practical. Does that make sense? So historically, what we have here is the Kybalion dates back to ancient Egypt. It is known as the Hermetica or the Corpus Hermeticum. It was later part of Hermeticism, which also the Rosicrucian, that's a mouthful, utilized as part of their, the fundamentals of their religion. And the name of it comes from Hermes Trismegistus. That's a mouthful too. Thrice great Hermes, also known in the Roman understanding as Mercury. Okay. So, by the way, you have this in your paper. Going right down the line very quickly. The first principle.
Not everybody has one.
Okay. Let's.
Here.
Yeah.
You need one of these.
If whoever doesn't have it could raise their hand so we can get one to you. There we go. Thank you. So the first principle, the principle of mentalism, the principle of correspondence, the principle of vibration, the principle of polarity, the principle of rhythm, the principle of cause and effect, the principle of gender. Pretty clear there? Now let's take a look at the law of one. What I'm doing is we're kind of shifting. We're going to do a little seesawing all night long. We're going to go back and forth from Kaibalion law of one, Kaibalion law of one. So as far as the origins, it dates back to the creation, when the Logos spoke itself into manyness. The knowledge, in this particular case, we're referring specifically to the law of one as it pertains to the raw material. The knowledge was transmitted through the use of a channeler, being communicated by 6 density. Let me see where the pointer is of this. Nope, I turned it off. Somewhere there's a point. Oh, here we go. No. Let's go back. Nothing like wanting to do something and then it just flares up. There we go. Okay, so much for the pointer. So it was transmitted by a 6 density entity by the name of Ra. I will cover up what density means or what 6 density is, who asked to be known as the humble messenger. The philosophy was available with the help of a team of researchers, Don Elkins, Carla Ruckert, and Jim McCarty. They worked daily and sometimes twice a day in doing the processes to communicate from 1981 to 1984. The data is now condensed into 5 books and translated in 10 different languages. So, let's, by the way, in 2013, when I learned about the law of one, immediately it was like, I saw Carla Ruckert through a video and I said, there was this kind of knowing, I kind of know this person, how do I know this person? You ever get that sensation? So I quickly communicated with the team. Their team is known as the LNL Research, stands for Love and Light. And they welcomed me to their facility being directly at home. And they opened their arms and heart, and I did like close to a 2-hour interview with Carla Ruckert. And within, that was in 2013, she passed away last year, 2015 in April. So this was an interview that I did just last year. Let's listen to what the compendium of what he says about the law of one. Okay? Any day now.
Don was always asking about the basic concept of creating
Can you all hear that?
and what the universe was made of. And
I think the volume
Rod's
is up there.
response was, it's one being, it is the creator. the reason there is a creation is so the Creator can know itself more fully. It knows itself most fully when those portions of the creation have free will. So in order for us in this density to have free will, we have to have a veil of forgetting between the conscious and unconscious minds. So we live basically consciously unless we make efforts to access the unconscious or subconscious by meditation or hypnosis or whatever. So the first distortion in the law of oneness of the universe was the concept of free will, that the Creator would become many, or seeming to become many, and seeming to be separate from itself in order it could know more about itself through its portions of itself having free will. So the way this worked was the desire to know itself. The creative power of the universe is the Creator and is love. So that was actually the second distortion, that love would have a creative ability. So the consciousness of the Creator shined through free will, creating love, and love then precipitated what we call as light. The universe seems to be made of photons, what we call photons. And those are the basic principles. After that, what Ross suggested, that the laws are many, but these are the most important ones here. Free will, love, and light.
Did everybody hear that all the way in the back? Because I just thought about I could do the mic, but everybody got that, right? Okay. So let's take a quick look at what he just said, because this is going to be something that we're going to build on. The consciousness of the Creator shines through free will, creating love. Then love precipitated what we call light, photons. The choice of words here is pretty vital. The couple of words that I would like you to pay very close attention is the word shines, love, obviously free will, love and light, but shines and precipitated. Those are going to be some aspects that we're going to see in the principles of the Kybalion, and that's really where we're going to be able to kind of understand how these two even compare or resemble each other. Because even if you look at in your little overview, they don't have any resemblance. The way that they have been, the narrative is completely unlike the other, correct? So the law of one states that there is only one, and that one is the infinite Creator, which Ra also calls infinite intelligence and intelligent infinity, and so on. So by this we understand that there's just only one. And I think, David, you had something really interesting in one of your talks. You said that the entire universe could actually fit in the head of a straight pin, I believe you said. How did? In an atom. So that goes to show you how everything, or we are all one, and if we compress everything together, it could be just that one little aspect.
I think Rumi said the same thing.
Who did? Rumi. Yeah. So let's go back to the Kybalion. Again, we're doing this little swinging dance between the two, and let's look at the law, the principle of mentalism. The all is mind, the universe is mental. That's kind of pretty clear, right? Clear as mud. But everything is within the mind of the Creator. So does that kind of raise some eyebrows for anybody? Anybody seen the movie The Matrix? If everything is mind and we exist in the mind of the Creator, what are we doing here? Are we really here?
We could be participating in a dream.
Yeah.
The dream of the Creator.
Right. And so if it's a dream, why is it that it feels so solid out here? And that it's so believable in ways that are mind-boggling, right?
All dreams seem very.
Very real. This is just a little thing, a couple of things to kind of expand your way of viewing. I'm not here to tell you any one way how to view this or to twist your arm or that this is reality. My intention is just to kind of propose various ideas for you to contemplate. This principle explains the true nature of energy, power, and matter, and why and how all these are subordinate to the mastery of mind, which in itself is unknowable and undefinable, but which may be considered as a universal, infinite living mind. The universe as a whole, and in its parts or units, has its existence in the mind of the all, in which mind we live and move and have our being. Now that last statement, does it ring a bell for anybody? Could we have seen it in the Bible? Acts 17:28, Paul before the Europeans. I can't say that word. That they would seek God if perhaps they might grope for him and find him, though he is not far from each of us. For in him, here we see that in again. I mean, we're seeing kind of repetition of pattern. In. For in him we live and move and exist. And even some of your own poets have said, for we also are his children. Being then the children of God, we ought not to think that the divine nature is like gold or silver or stone, an image formed by the art and the thought of man. So in other words, it's not out there. Why are we looking for it out there? It's not sitting in a cloud.